Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your requested video, the top 10 big men in WWE history. So, I didn't know exactly, how to put together this list, like what makes a big man. Usually a big man in wrestling is somebody tall in stature, either muscular or at least very wide. I didn't know. I says, Hulk Hogan is tall and muscular, but he's not really considered a big man. And Brock Lesnar is considered, but he's not exactly very tall. And then also the same cases for Batista. So then there's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. So I decided to put together this list. So I didn't include those guys. I went with more of, like who the announcers and everyone would always, really stress their height and stuff. But I'm basing this on character, charisma, the lore of these characters. Basically, everybody on this list is historic in some ways, who has done something huge in the wrestling business, and they're known for being really big and heavy. And so anyway, let's start off at number 10, The Big Show. So I have given The Big Show a lot of shit over the years, because of the way how they've booked him for for the longest time. But you can't deny that The Big Show is a presence in wrestling. I mean, they said it time and time again and stressed how big this guy is. And you can't take that away from him. The Big Show, I will never forget how he debuted in WWE. Coming out from underneath the ring, I know Kane now has done it 1,000 times, but at the time it was pretty awesome. Stone Cold was Vince with wrestling Vince McMahon at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the pre-WrestleMania pay-per-view. Big Show, or Paul White, as he was known at the time under his real name, comes out from under the ring and throws Stone Cold through the fucking cage. It was the best. Also, seeing him being mentored by The Undertaker, another great moment. Um, Big Show also, was involved in some pretty good matches. We had a Buried Alive match, him and The Undertaker against The Rock and Mick Foley, the Rock and Sock connection. I'll never forget how Big Show tossed Mick Foley from the stage, like right into the fucking grave. It was pretty awesome. And, Big Show had a lot of, good moments, some, memorable feuds. The guy, he is lumbering, he moves slow, but so are some other people on the list. But, you can't take away that this guy has had a lot of big moments throughout his career. And it's been a pretty enjoyable ride with the Big Show. I wasn't crazy about the past couple of years that they're making him cry and shit like that. But the Big Show still stands as one of the best. At number 9, Andre the Giant. So Andre edges out Big Show on this list because WrestleMania 3. Andre was just a figure, a legendary figure. Obviously fans today know the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that doesn't even do the guy justice. The announcers don't even talk up about how much of an impact this guy had on the industry. Andre and Hulk Hogan as a tandem, sold that pay-per-view, them together in a match, because Andre was just massive, even taller than the Big Show. The guy was just, a sight to behold. And even though, he wasn't the best in the ring, it was just all about the presence, really. And just how this guy looked, and how he just looked like he could murder anybody because of just how fucking big the guy was. And sometimes that's the crazy thing. We think about it and we talk about, oh, this guy's a great worker and everything, in wrestling. But, some fans will never understand of just how a guy just having a presence and being in the ring. He doesn't have to do a lot of moves or do a lot of flashy shit. But sometimes just having a presence and being, in the match and just generating a certain shine to you, being a star is enough. And that was what Andre was. It was that it factor. It was that undeniable charisma that he had. Not even like charisma really being on the mic, but it was more of a physical charisma. Hard to explain, but definitely worthy of a spot on this list. At number 8, King Kong Bundy. Now, this is a guy that, once again, a physical presence, but, better on the mic. And, this was like an intimidating looking guy. I mean, this is what wrestling is missing nowadays. There's only a few guys that truly look like they could kick somebody's ass and you wouldn't want to fuck with them. And King Kong Bundy, man, this was one guy, if you saw him walking down the street, you'd fucking want to go to the other side of the fucking street because he looked like he could fucking destroy you. And he looked like he could destroy Hulk Hogan back in the day. I got to see King Kong Bundy. Um, I went like in Queens here in New York. I didn't end up getting his autograph. I ended up getting the Honky Tonk Man's autograph anyway. But there was 3 wrestlers at a wrestling store, and it was the Iron Sheik, Honky Tonk Man, and King Kong Bundy. And I was like about like 9 or 10 at the time, and I decided to go with Honky Tonk Man because that's who I liked the best at the time, and rightfully so. Another great wrestling character. But I saw King Kong Bundy, and even though this was like years later from this guy being at WrestleMania 2 and stuff, but still a massive individual. I mean, this guy, I saw him sitting in the chair, who's fucking huge as fuck. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like these guys looked like they could fucking pound you into the fucking ground. Like that's the thing about the WWE around this time. These were guys that you didn't commonly see in the street. They didn't look like your everyday man, like a fuck boy like Finn Balor or a bitch boy like Sami Zayn. No, they genuinely looked like guys that could fucking murder you. At number 7, Bam Bam Bigelow. From the tattoos on his head to the flaming fucking spandex jumpsuit that he had, Bam Bam Bigelow looked like a tough-ass motherfucker. And I will also, say that when he was in WCW, I even enjoyed his matches with Goldberg. That was a pretty good feud. I also enjoyed him in ECW, his matches with Taz. Bam Bam Bigelow, just, the match even wasn't that bad with him and Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania 11. But he also, at the King of the Ring, good matches with Bret Hart. This was a pretty good big man. And I mean, this guy did a moonsault. Just all around. I mean, what a look to this guy. And also, you want to talk about worker. Like, this guy could actually wrestle. He, like I said, he was even doing fucking moonsaults off the top rope. He was hardcore. This guy could adjust to any style. And being as big as he is, that was pretty impressive. At number 6, the Big Boss Man. You talk about a tough guy. I even enjoyed him on the mic. My favorite look of his was during the Attitude Era when they took away his regular police gear, the blue shirt and everything, and replaced it with like the SWAT team look. Even the Shield would adopt it, that it looked so awesome. I mean, Boss Man with walking around with the nightstick. I mean, this guy just looked like a tough ass dude. I mean, damn. I mean, that was part of his gimmick, hitting people with the nightstick and everything. And, he just all around looked awesome. I'll never forget also when he locked up the Mountie back in the day. This, they put when he went to WCW. I mean, man, they really like fucking ruined this guy, Big Bubba Rogers. God, but anyway, Boss Man, though, if you want to talk about, from back in the day, or you want to talk about his Attitude Era years, I mean, this guy once again had a presence. He looked tough, and I really enjoyed him in the hardcore division. Like, that was a good division for him. His feud with Al Snow was very entertaining. And he also wrestled, Road Dogg and others in really good matches. So they kept the guy's career alive for a time. It's really sad that he ended up passing away because, I would have liked to see this guy return for years and years. And he also would have made a pretty fucking cool manager when you think about it. Um, could you imagine like this guy being with the Shield? Does anybody even think about that? We all joke about how they stole Big Boss Man's outfit. But could you imagine if Big Boss Man were to come out and be the manager for the Shield? How awesome that would have been. At number 5, Sid. Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, whatever you want to call the guy. I mean, this was a tall, intimidating guy. Now, you could laugh at him and everything, and you could say, oh, his promos and everything. Remember that one time he asked to redo the promo with JR? It doesn't matter because I guarantee you would not be laughing at him if you were standing next to this guy. He looked like a certifiable killer. And that is probably why when he returned to the WWE, they ended up giving him the name Psycho Sid, because he definitely looked like he could play that role very well. From his matches with Shawn Michaels to his matches with Bret Hart, Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, an intimidating guy. He popularized the powerbomb finisher. Once again, like I said, on the mic, he seemed to get flustered easily, but never in the ring and walking down to the ring. I mean, this guy, with that mean look in his eyes. And, nobody really gives credit to the guy, but he wasn't really that bad in the ring. I mean, he wrestled good power moves. And like I said, just genuinely a tough look to him. And that's really all the guy needed. At number 4, Vader. You want to, now even I gotta say, the marks do love Vader. And I love Vader too. This guy could work with anybody. If you wanted to have a technical match, he had good matches with Ken Shamrock, good matches with The Undertaker, good matches with Mick Foley. This guy could have a good match with almost any fucking wrestler. He was able to do moonsaults. He would do power moves that looked like they'd fucking break the ring in half. I mean, he was a massive power lifter. And that mask of his. I mean, now that was memorable. Now, people complain that, the guy, got ruined in WWE, that he was handled a lot better in WCW. But he stayed in WWE for a while. And even though he never managed to win the world title, you can say that this guy, at least, they made him look good. He did beat The Undertaker one time, and he did manage to really, look like he would be the champion one day. I remember him being in the Final 4 pay-per-view with Stone Cold, Undertaker, and Bret Hart. And man, I mean, like, that he did really good. He was roughing motherfuckers up in that match. A true legend. I never got to honestly see any of his stuff in Japan, but, I heard that the guy dominated over there. This is a guy that made a big success for himself. Later on, he couldn't really find us. They couldn't find a spot for him, sadly. But Vader will be remembered. An intimidating-looking motherfucker, a guy that could go in the ring. Probably, I think out of all the big men on this list, as far as, being well-versed and, having like a big move set, probably Vader might, if we were just kind of rating it on that, he might even be at the top. At number 3, Kevin Nash Diesel. Now, you can make countless quad jokes about Kevin Nash, but once again, there is a presence to this guy. He comes out, he's fucking huge. Not only that, but this guy on the mic. I mean, from when he went to WCW and really honed his mic skills, this is a guy that really knows how to cut a promo. And we also saw that the guy is actually pretty creative. And, he knows how to book a wrestling show. He knows what it takes. I mean, as a matter of fact, people like to give him a hard time about his booking style. But let me ask you a question, guys. Would you rather have the booking they have now, or would you rather let Kevin Nash book the show and see how it turns out? If you're smart, you'd go with the latter. Now, Nash, this guy has accomplished a fucking lot in this business. And he has been in like almost every single company besides ECW. He's been TNA, WCW, WWE. I mean, this is a guy that has seen it all in the fucking business. I mean, he has been in and out of these companies constantly. You listen to this guy in interviews, and not only is he hilarious, but he's probably one of the most knowledgeable people and most honest people you could come across. I don't know. I think they kind of did the guy a bit dirty in 2003 when he came back. He wrestled a couple of matches against Kevin Nash, and then they kind of didn't really, they didn't really even try to keep the guy in the company, and he soon went to TNA. But Nash, for the NWO, Scott Hall and Hulk Hogan, I mean, he is one of the founding members of the NWO. That alone, gives you a spot of notoriety in history. And so Nash, this is a guy that, like I said, he's seen it all. He is a legend. At number 2, Kane. Yes, I can't help myself here, but we think about how they've ruined Kane, and we talk about it, but let's talk about for a minute of before they ruined Kane and how great the guy is. From his debut at Bad Blood 97. Can you guys honestly say that you've seen a better debut? Wasn't that a thing of beauty? Wasn't that picture perfect? How could they have even possibly made that debut any better? It would be impossible because it was a fucking perfect debut pretty much. From his feud with The Undertaker to his match with Stone Cold at King of the Ring 1998 to his memorable tag team with X-Pac. Kane has, had so many memorable moments. And, you could even knock the guy for his Canaanite promo, but fuck you. That promo was great. And I even enjoyed seeing that side of Kane. I really wish that the guy, if they're going to have him come out, if you go back to the old costume at least. I hate that fucking new mask they gave him. I never understood why they would put that mask on him. It's almost become a joke with him going between the mask and taking it off. Corporate Kane and all that shit. And, it's very silly that the hair is attached to the mask and he puts it on and the hair is still on there. But, we try not to think of that. We try to keep the good memories of Kane and how this guy is a freaking legend. And at number 1, who the fuck do you think it is? Undertaker, bitch! Undertaker. Of course the Undertaker is at number 1. When you think of big men, how the hell is it possible not to think of the Undertaker first? This is exactly why I didn't want to put cheap stuff on there like Hulk Hogan or anything. Big men, Undertaker owns that field. Without a fucking doubt, the Undertaker is the best big man of all time. Have you ever seen somebody more nimble or a better worker that stands at 6'10"? The guy is almost 7 feet tall, and he is nimble as fuck in the ring. Many people will say that Undertaker and Shawn Michaels might have been the best wrestling match ever performed. How could he not be number one? He had two great matches with Shawn Michaels back to back. His feud with Kane, his legendary feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, The Undertaker is like, you say his name, and people that don't know shit about wrestling, they know The Undertaker. They've seen The Undertaker. They've at least heard the name Undertaker, and they know he's a wrestler. Because that is how great The Undertaker is. Now, personally, out of all the gimmicks, I've always been quite partial to the American Badass gimmick. I just always fucking loved that. And I'll never forget him coming out at Judgment Day 2000. I mean, just with the fucking trench coat and the bandana, the sunglasses, and the motorcycle. I'm sorry. Once I saw that, I was like, the dead man gimmick right now is dead to me. Now, I love the dead man gimmick as well, but the biker gimmick was just more realistic, and I always felt that felt more like Mark Calloway because he is a biker. And if people remember, you know, in 98 and 99, they'd show The Undertaker backstage, and he'd be dressed like a biker. So the more and more that they got away from, you know, like The Undertaker always, you know, being like this dark entity and everything. And they might have went back to that a little bit when they did the Ministry. But I don't know. I like that they then finally said, all right, you know what? We're just going to let The Undertaker be himself. And of course, the Ministry, an excellent storyline. You can complain about the greater power reveal all you want and everything. But the fact that you even go back and talk about that shit means that it was great because it was memorable. So, you know, you think about The Undertaker and, you know, you just think biggest and best big man of all time. He is one of the greatest of all time. Not just one of the greatest big men of all time. The Undertaker has, without a doubt, he has done it all. He has seen it all. He has pretty much wrestled every single fucking guy under the sun. And it's just, you know, you anytime you see Taker, I will never forget this. Does anybody remember this? Like, I think it was in 2002 or late 2001. They play the song Creed by Creed, My Sacrifice. And they showed The Undertaker and everything he had done in the business. And, you know, that was I mean, think about, he also wrestled for more than another decade after that. Almost, you think about it, almost now 2 more decades. And I remember it, like, even at that age of watching it at like 13, 14, it brought a tear to my eye. Because I was just sitting there saying, man, this guy has done a lot in the business. He's been around and, you know, he must know so much. And now I think back at that video montage and I'm like, wow. I'm like, think about how much more this guy has experienced and how much he has given to this company, even with a fucking hip replacement, which was why this guy came, you know, he stayed away for a while and came back as the American Badass because he was getting a fucking hip replacement. And this guy has had major health problems throughout his career, and still he returns. He still always comes back because he is that dedicated to the profession. Anyway, motherfuckers, thank you for requesting this list. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys have any more ideas for lists, put it down in the comments below. This has been your YWC champ with the 10 biggest or the 10 best big men of all time. This has been your YWC champ signing out.